I'm gonna clip it to my necklace, actually.
Oh, I gotta get some pictures. My boy Alex getting the done.
Axel.
Close enough.
We were just talking about Alex.
Oh, that's cool. Actually, I'm gonna turn this one around
So
too.
this isn't gonna be like an interview. I'm just gonna like.
Can you please just make me nervous? Be like, hi.
Hello, welcome.
My name is. What's your last name?
Mary Rathier. Sorry.
Mary Rathier. I'm here with
This is Mary Rathier. I'm here with Axel.
author of the new book, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. What usually inspires you? Like, what do you like to draw or create?
For the most part, I don't really. It's more like improvising, you know, and that's kind of like where I got like my style from. Is just always doing different things, never like kind of like sticking to. A lot of people consider art to be a landscape or a portrait, and stuff like that. And I have a few, you know, but then eventually when I started playing around with different ideas, I realized that you can come up with different things, and that's pretty much what inspires me to create the stuff that I'm making now. I still stay true to it. I still paint. I still, I have crazy foliage.
Crazy foliage
yeah,
pictures.
I got really good foliage and like
awesome.
nice bushes.
I love a good leaf.
I gotta stop.
My ukulele case is actually full of leaves because I just go collect them sometimes and then they get crushed up in there and then they stay there forever.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's just improvising. Yeah. And I feel like that's the true nature of art.
That's very cool.
Just making things.
Do you have like one favorite piece or because I know I'm not like an artist. I don't consider myself an artsy person. I like to draw occasionally, but like there's been pictures that I've drawn several times just because it looks better every time I do it. Or like, is there anything that you've created that you've evolved on?
Okay, so that's gonna be a big part of my show, where like a lot of it is gonna be repetition. So a lot of the faces that I draw that are lines like these, they play on the idea that they are just linear faces. So like even though they're all different, they're all the same.
So that's a face with like connected by a one line. Just
exactly. So like a whole bunch of one-line faces, and that's the fun part about repetition. Next time I can add a different ear or a different eye, and I'm playing with the same idea with color. So like I have a whole bunch of canvases where I'm throwing paint, same palette, same form almost, but different strokes. It's bigger, it's smaller, it's zoomed in, it's zoomed out. It's the same
just
picture.
Playing with a different variable in the painting.
And that's something that I noticed in a lot of artists' work. So like if you look at Picasso,
I was just about to bring him up. Yeah, I mean you can't skip over Picasso without like that, you know?
Yeah. He did the whole repetitive thing. You look at Cy Twombly, you look at Jean-Michel. They all painted similar things in different ways. So that was the fun part. It's painting the same thing over and over.
Yeah, and seeing how it can differ. That's really cool.
That's something that I picked up on, like just like looking at different artists, like art history and stuff like that. I realized that a lot of them paint the same same things over and over again.
The same items, yes.
The same.
You ever paint a fruit bowl, you know?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of that with color pastels back in high school.
Yeah, I figured it was. I've done the same thing. You know, draw a circle, but shade it in and make it look like a ball.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Yeah.
And you know, like again, you have to pay your dues. You have to go through that, and then eventually you start evolving and you start like. You
got to learn how to shade before you draw something 3D, you know. Yeah,
exactly. So you have to kind of play with every form of art in order for you to like finally find something concrete. I mean, I'm still looking, you know, like, and I probably will forever. So.
Yeah. So you said that you like paint and colored pencil and oil pastel. Is there anything that like I don't know you'd like to get into or?
I'd like to get into oil paint.
Oil paints?
Yeah, I just have no patience.
Those are those are hard because they're just such dense paints that you can't spread them out or blend them very well. You have to like
and
kind of carve them out onto there.
And when you do learn to play with it, it's tough because you have to wait. Yeah, some colors like black take about 2-3 weeks to dry.
Yeah.
You know, so you can always keep coming back to the color, but I stick to acrylic. It dries in 5 minutes and I can keep going. You know what I mean? So. I think the lack of patience for me is definitely what I want to work on when it comes to oils because it's going to force me to wait.
Yeah, because you have to be like, this is my painting and I'm okay with it.
Yep.
And I don't want to change it anymore.
Yep.
The second you don't, oh, I really don't like that ear, and you try to change it, it's gonna ruin the whole thing.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's still wet, so you can still do that.
Yeah.
So it kind of like gives you that like that push. Like, yeah, you should change it. It's still wet. You know what?
Yeah.
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 So in that regard, I feel like I would have a hard time finishing like something like an oil painting. So that I kind of want to start.
Watch a couple Bob Ross tutorials.
I want to paint with Bob Ross. That would be fun. A paint night, a
is
Bob
he
Ross
alive?
paint night. No, he's gone.
Oh, okay. You said you wanted to paint with Bob Ross, and I was like, me too.
We can still paint with Bob
sorry.
Ross. He's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought you like wanted to.
No,
Yo, what's up, Bob Ross? You want to paint together? Me too.
But yeah. How about you? What inspires you? I know you paint on and off, but you know when you do, you must have some motive or not.
Mostly nature, honestly, because I can't really draw much other than organic shapes. If you asked me to draw a dog, it would not look like a dog. You'd be like, it's a vaguely four-legged animal shape. Could be a dog, could be a fox, raccoon. You never know, right? With a tree, it's like, every tree is different. Every leaf is going to be different. So you can make a tree that's maybe heavier on the branches on this side and like a little sparse on that side. It's always going to be different no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So that's what inspires me most of the time when I paint. I painted my bedroom windows to look like there's one big tree and it looks like a stained glass window, and there's one that looks like cherry blossoms sort of branches coming out from the sides.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
I never really thought about painting my window.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
It's like water-based acrylic paint, so if I wanted to, I could just wash off and start over.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's sweet. I watched a few videos about stained glass. Pretty sick. Like how they make it.
Yeah.
They draw it out first. They cut out the metal because you incorporate the metals and stick the glass in.
Oh yeah.
Mind blowing.
It's a whole project. It takes forever to make stained glass windows.
Right. Yeah. But that's good. As far as like painting, how long have you been painting? Or drawing?
I don't really remember. Like, I've never been the artsy kid. Like, I've always doodled in my notebook or drawn and whatever. But there wasn't one moment where I like started painting.
Okay.
It wasn't like an epiphany where I'm like, Mom, for Christmas, I want a set of oil pastels. There was nothing like that. I've just kind of doodled my whole life.
Nice.
I was given paints as a child and finger painted.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Same. It's like one of those things that you just kind of do. And like one of the guys that I work with, he's like that, and he has a disability. So when he picks up the pen or like a marker or something, and he asks me for paper, and I catch him in his room and he's drawing on his bed, like literally on his bed, like this with paper, and I think, wow, like that's amazing, like he's just doing it.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like how like he brings me back to my childhood where it was just like there was no motive, there was no incentive,
Yeah.
There's nothing. You just kind of like pick it up. It's one of those things.
Yeah, I always like watching kids draw because they're just like, because they don't have those limitations that adults do where it's like, that's a pig, so it has to be pink. It's like, it's a pig, but I have this really cool purple crayon that I really want to use, now it's a purple pig.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. And there's nothing holding them back.
I agree.
Kids are incredible.
Yeah, I collect my nephew, my niece's paintings. Like I collect everything. I put them all in a binder.
Yeah, oh, that's cute. And then one day you can be like, look at it.
Yeah, and it just reminds me that like they're just doing it to do it. And that's kind of like what veered me away from like the whole idea of monetizing and all that stuff at first, because it's like it's hard to like make something when you know that there's something at the end. And
you know your destination, but you don't know how to get there. Whereas if you just go on the journey and you're like, I want to paint something today, and you just paint something, and if it turns out really good, you just made something really good. And if it doesn't turn out really great, you still made something.
Yeah.
You did something.
Honestly, that's what like encouraged me to buy more canvases, more paper and stuff like that. Because like let's say I have a painting and I mess it up, I don't see it as a mess up. I don't paint over it either. Like I don't redo it or rework it or anything. I just leave it because that's how it was that day.
Because then if you don't really like something on it, you can be like, well, next time I'm going to paint it a little bit different, and it reminds you that next time you don't do that one thing that you did to make that happen.
Yep.
I get that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's mostly for fun. I mean, for the most part, I do want to get the work out and like my ideas and stuff, but like I still want to keep it towards that side where like I want to feel like a kid when I paint.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel like giving, and I don't want to feel like I have to give somebody an explanation for what I painted.
Yeah, I'm like that, except like it's frustrating when I want to draw something, like I have a specific thing in mind, and then what comes out is not that at all. I'm just like looking at it like.
You're like, it was supposed to be a dog, but it's a raccoon.
Yeah, why did you do that? I told you to do this one thing, and you just went off and did whatever.
Yeah, and then we move away from the notion that for a second we weren't ourselves, and like we did something that was outside of our control, and it's not you, it's something else, and you know, we look over the fact that we were so concentrated on something and nothing mattered for a second. Yeah. You know, we always look at the picture and what I made, as opposed to like the time I spent and like how I wasn't really like concentrated on a certain thought or anything like that. It was just something that happened.
I like those paintings where they're based off emotion. Like if you ask the artist, what does this painting mean? He's just like, I don't know, I was really sad when I did it. So maybe there's lots of blues or whatever. And maybe you can visually see that he was a little bit sad, like Picasso's blue period. He was depressed and he just painted only using blues. Because he was like, I'm sad. Blue.
I remember that.
But there's so much more, like if they're mad, you know, maybe there might be more lines and there's scribbles everywhere. Whereas if they're kind of like happy and content with life, it's a little calmer and you can read it through the painting, and that's really cool that you can convey an emotion like that. True. And like it's not a specific thing. Like this you can tell is Mr. Rogers. Whereas if you looked at one of those paintings that convey emotion, it's just a bunch of lines and scribbles to some people, but it's the artist's emotion on a canvas. Yeah, for sure. And as an artist, it's kind of hard to express that like that. Like, you know, like put it in somebody else's head and like paint it, and then they see that. And they're like, oh, were you upset? And it's like, yeah, I was. I was really mad. So yeah, and it's cool when you get that across. But and then if somebody looks at it and thinks it's something else and makes it something else, then to them, that's what it is. And that's what's really cool about art. Like, it's not one definite answer. You're never wrong. It can be 100 million different things. And if the artist is open enough to interpretation, you know, because I know some people are like, no, this is what this is, and I drew it, so I know. I'm telling you this is what it is, you know. But other people are like, yeah, no, if you see a dog, and I meant to draw a cat, then for you it's a dog. And here's a really nice picture of a dog. You're welcome. Agree. It's whatever you make it. Completely agree. Is there any art in this book that you're particularly proud of that you'd want to showcase? For the most part, I have a ton of work. I don't really showcase my work, so I don't pick favorites, I guess. Yeah. I for this show though, I picked out 5 that I really want to display. And again, it plays on that notion of repetition. Yeah. Working something that's I did in the past and reworking it and just doing something different with it. But no, they're all my babies. I can't. It's like having children. You can't pick your favorite. Yeah. You know? I can understand that with children. Definitely not with art for me, because like I'll look at a painting and go, oh, I never want to see it again. Yeah. And I'll be like, no, and then I'll redo it and be like, oh, this is a better final product, and then. I feel that. I wish I could get out of that mindset and like just love my art for whatever it turns out to be. But if I have a specific thing in my mind and it doesn't look like that, I want to make it look like that. Yeah. Make it happen. Yeah. And for me, it's like I just pick up another piece and then I start working on that one, and I kind of like save my errors. Like I like them. I don't know what it is. Like I think that like the older I get, the more I want to break away from that form. You know, from like really thinking that there is something to do that's right. Like I had to do it this way and I didn't. You know, it's not like taking the highway. Like there is no direction. Like there shouldn't. Really good mindset there shouldn't be an exit. And it's like the older you get, when you structure your life, that's the stuff that you're looking for is direction. You know. Yeah. And then when you're creating, it's like a whole different process. But at the same time, we still keep that mentality where it's like it has to look like this person. And I get it. If you're being commissioned and it doesn't look like Mr. Rogers, I understand. You know. But like as for making art in general, you know, like they're like it's nice to know that there is no direction. And the older I get, the more I try to remember that, because it's hard. It's hard because you're trying to structure your life, and then you're trying to incorporate your life into your art, and it becomes like gray. You know, there's that line. Yeah, especially when you know you want to be an artist and you keep trying to be an artist, and you want to make your art look good, you want to be a certain thing, then you're focused on being an artist, not creating art.
Yes, exactly.
And like that's the most vital part of it, but you're focused on going somewhere and being something that you're not doing what it actually takes to get there.
Yeah, and that brings me back to my client, where like he sits there and he comes home from his program, and I take all his papers and I'm like, what did you draw today? And I'm sitting there shifting through his papers and I find the best ones and I keep them. I put them in a folder for him and he doesn't know about this folder. He doesn't care about the folder.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't even care that I like them or not. He doesn't care that they're on pieces of paper that have letters on them already. He doesn't care that he doesn't have a surface to write on. Like he doesn't. He just does it.
That's
and
awesome.
that is
That's a
hard
true
to
artist.
maintain as an artist, you know?
Yeah.
So in that regard, he's like starting to be my favorite artist. He doesn't even know it. He doesn't even care. He
Because
doesn't.
it's raw. It's
He
not
doesn't
like-
have an influence. He doesn't look up to anybody. He doesn't. I don't even think he like thinks about me being an artist, or like he's never saw me draw something and then try to draw a replica.
Yeah.
That,
Wow,
you know,
that's special.
that's raw, and that's hard. Especially like again, you're getting older and like things are on your mind and this and that, and you are trying to be something.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, I'm trying to be an artist, and it's hard again to keep that separate from your life. You know, so trying to bring it back to the raw.
Yeah.
I like that word, raw, because it really is. It's just true inspiration, which is nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be polished and perfect. It can just be what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Inspiration can come from thin air.
Yeah.
And that's what he taught me.
I like that.
And scene, right?
Hey!
I got hot. Like,
That was good.
it's a good exchange.
Did she effectively make you sweat?
I think it's more about performing.
Okay.
You know?
I effectively make you perform.
No, it's like, I don't know. Again, like I was saying earlier, you weren't here. When I try to record myself, like doing stand-up or something, you know,
Yeah.
telling a new joke or something like that, like it's hard for the camera to be on me and me say it the same.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I get it.
Like when you're being recorded, like audio, video, whatever. See, it's like, yeah. It's hard. It is. It's tough.
It's something you gotta get used to.
You used to it, yeah.
Like,
That's why.
"Come on."
Shout out to you performers out there, man, because
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's tough.
that was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for everything. The next thing that we have on scene is Norman's about to do some team leadership interviews. So if you guys want to talk about leadership with him, please go.
Okay.
I'm gonna get out of this.
I'm gonna get some water.